That's right, your eyes do not deceive you. We have on screen right now KAngel. Yeah, so Needy Stream Overload is back, y'all. Sort of. This is, as I understand, it's like a mini game collection based on the Needy Stream Overload intellectual property. Honestly, so far it seems to have really flown under the radar. So if you haven't seen Needy Streamer Overload before, you might be a bit confused. I recommend you go back and watch my whole Let's Play of that. It was a whole thing. Good game. But now we've got this. This is called... What is this called again? This is Petit Game Collection Volume 1, which may be part of why it's flown under the radar a bit. Not the best in terms of branding there. You should call it like Needy Streamer... Oh, minigames. Look, it's not my job to come up with this stuff, alright? I'm just playing video games on the internet here. Anyway, so there's 4 games here in this collection, and hopefully they're good, like Needy Stream Overload was. I'm just happy to get some more time here with KAngel and Ame, and we'll see how it goes. So what have we got here? We've got Ame's happy dating game. I don't know who this Ame is, but I bet she's pretty cute, which means you get to go on a date with a cute girl. Isn't that exciting? We've got Don't Die, KAngel, a shooting game where I get to raise down some nerds. But first, go take a shower. Breakout KAngel, a block-breaking game that reveals stuff. But don't you dare play it, because it's super embarrassing. And we got KAngel's Room. Come on in, but only if you're really, really bored. Well then, I suppose we need to start with one of these. I have no idea how much content is in this, if we're gonna play end up playing for like an hour or 2 or 3 or 5, we'll see. But I think we could start with Ame's happy dating game. Have fun! Please wait warmly as it loads. Oh my goodness, we've opened a whole new window. Are we still here? Okay, we're going into English. Alright. New game, I suppose. Peter, let's go on a date today. The one who spoke was a well-dressed girl who liked to dream big and call her partner a stupidly cute nickname like Peachan. Her name was Ame, and she was my girlfriend. Her black skirt fluttered around her thighs as she hovered excitedly, sort of like a fly buzzing over a pile of garbage. She made no attempt at hiding her desire for my attention. And it was so cute. She knew she was cute. Better than anyone, in fact. Every single one of her movements was exaggerated for the perfect effect, and it always worked. She was the star of her own show, running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. She knew she could get away with it too, because of how adorable she was. She wielded her own cuteness like a weapon that could get her anything she wanted. Although she had a childish charm to her, she had the cunning mind of a veteran tactician. Okay, interesting. Thanks for working so hard for me all the time. I know you fell asleep at your desk because you were up all night editing videos for me, so I feel kinda bad for waking you up, but... Ame fidgeted with her hair and looked at me apologetically. Her thick, glossy locks hung in 2 pigtails and a long fringe that covered half of her face. She could cry all she wanted from her hidden eye, and no one would be none the wiser. It was an extra layer of protection, along with her over-the-top acting. That's my theory, anyway. Legend has it that Sorry, that was my mistake. Legend has it that no one has ever seen the left half of Ame's face. Not even I'm privy to what's underneath her bangs. Is it a cyborg eye? The world will never know. Alright, sleepyhead, I'm gonna go brush my teeth, do my skincare routine, and get changed. You'd better be ready for our date by the time I'm done. She beamed at me, her smile warm and bright, like the sun. She was so beautiful and adorable, like a little flower begging me to pick her. How could I ever say no to her? People say that every beautiful rose has its thorns, but I think it's a little different for Ame. Her arms were covered in thin scars that ran across them haphazardly. If she had thorns, then those thorns were hurting her too. But flowers don't do that, so what would she be instead? And I don't want to hear you complaining about the state being too short notice or whatever, Kay. Love is unpredictable like that. Or don't you care about me enough to keep up? A single tear rolled down her cheek from her right eye. All traces of her earlier smile had disappeared as sadness pulled the corners of her lips downward. She wailed as she swung into a full-blown breakdown. Oh, you don't even love me, do you? You're just with me because you want the super chats I squeezed out for my nerd fans. That's called emotional abuse, you know. She sniffled and wiped the tears from her face. Her cheeks took on a pinkish tint as her eyes continued to leak and grow puffy. Rather than diminish her looks, however, it only served to make her already enormous eyes look even bigger. Of course, all this was an act, too. Ame had perfected the craft of crying on command and making it look really convincing. As a streamer, she needed precise control over her emotions, turning on whatever she wanted like a switch to elicit certain reactions from her viewers. It was her job to cry and smile with purpose, or even get so riled up she could snap a keyboard in half. I was familiar with all of this as someone who lived with her and cared for her in a romantic capacity. Just as I knew everything about Ame, I knew that this charade was... I'm going to start that over. Just as I knew everything about Ame, I knew that this charade she was putting on was her way of showing her love toward me. I also knew that if I ever saw her crying real tears, it could only mean one thing. That things were over between us. I mean, that's a bit of a pessimistic way of looking at things. Every relationship has its ups and downs, you know? But even though I knew this wasn't real, she was still crying. And no proper human being would leave a girl crying. I had to do something to soothe her. The tears being fake didn't change the fact that she was deeply stressed from streaming every night and desperately needed a break. Putting herself out there on MeTube and social media meant that all eyes were on her. She had worshippers that treated her like a goddess. People who made it their personal mission to poke fun at her, and others who saw her as a sounding board for their emotions. I wonder, am I overworking Ame in this iteration of the needy streamer overload universe? Hopefully not. Those are always the sad endings. I much prefer it when Ame gets a generally happy ending, so hopefully that can happen here. It was simple enough to understand how such chaos would eat away at one's mental well-being, but only those who'd been through the same thing could truly empathize. Maybe the money and attention really were as intoxicating as she made it out to be, but even so, could this hell truly be worth it to her? Alright, now that we're going on this date, says me, let's decide on where to go. Choose wisely, cause it could make me love or hate you more. Did I also mention that it'll affect what ending you get? Well, now I have. If you ask me, Ame was stuck. She had real skill and talent. She was a smart girl. Every night she would don her silly costume as the internet angel and stream under the name OMG Kawaii Angel. Just KAngel from now on, because saying the full thing every time is way too much effort. Her streams gathered hundreds of thousands of nerds from all over cyberspace every night. All of the respect, lust, jealousy, hate, love, and boredom that congregated were compiled into a neat little metric known as the viewer count. Then that number would determine how much money she would receive for her efforts. I mean, a slight oversimplification. You do need to account for CPM, which is basically the ad rate, how much money you would get paid per 1,000 views, which tends to fluctuate based on like the topics you're doing, the demographics of your viewership. The time of year is a big one. But I mean, I guess put simply, more views is more money. Unless those views are happening with YouTube Shorts, in which case you get like a few bucks. It didn't matter what her intention. It didn't matter what intentions her viewers went into her streams with, the important thing was that they became another number for the pile of numbers that ended up as cash in her bank account. And boy, did she have a lot of those numbers. Not to toot my own horn, but I had a very big hand in keeping those figures up. Ami was hugely dependent on me during her daily life, and most of the logistics of her streams were handled by me too. But that's enough about that. The undeniable thing was her overwhelming charm was what made her career possible. Stats drove people crazy. Those numbers pushed them to the brink. At some point, Ami must have wondered whether I loved her for who she was, for the numbers she produced. We started off as two broke asses who found comfort in each other. Without any money in the equation, I think what we had was genuine love for one another. Now neither of us could be so sure anymore. On the other hand, it was possible that we were now too close for either of us to unstick ourselves. No matter how hard she tried to ignore it, there would always be one persistent worry at the back of her mind. Maybe I can't be satisfied with my partner anymore. The image of us splitting could be looping in her head. It was something the two of us had to overcome together, though. What does being in a relationship mean? Could we take the steps into the future together, hand in hand? These were the questions we had to face. Ami was a middle school dropout, not even high school, who had a terrible personality and could do stupid things sometimes, but she was always thinking about things, much more than the average person. If her head was really as empty as people like to say, she would never have made it so big as a streamer. Fair point. It does take at least a certain degree of intelligence to be able to continually commentate, hopefully relevant, funny, humorous, other synonyms for funny, witticisms at pace. Especially streamers, honestly probably have it, because I've actually done a bit of streaming recently, not much, but I've dipped my toe in. In some ways, streamers have a bit harder than like a normal YouTuber, just because they don't have editing to fall back on, right? They can't do multiple takes, Not that I do multiple takes for this. I mean, this is basically a stream without, in terms of commentary style and stuff, I think. I don't know. Maybe my editors are doing crazy stuff these days. Maybe. I don't pay that much attention. I've got other things to worry about. I trust my editors. There's just one of them. Except for when I do occasionally edit. Like, rarely here. But anyways, where were we? She was the kind of person who would rather be direct and spring a surprise date on her partner than try some elaborate scheme to bait me into one. There was the hope that the element of surprise would bring back the butterflies we both felt when we started dating too. From a practical angle, it was also a good way to address how one's partner would deal with an unexpected and potentially stressful situation. I mean, we'd all want someone who can handle both well, right? Plus, I'm not really one to talk. I chose this after all. OMG, wait, so we're actually going? Oh, cool. That's how you can look at her. I should probably do that on occasion so we can get some good thumbnails! Anyways. Right-click to see the screen properly, just so we're aware, to bring the text down. It's been a while since I've played a visual novel of this style where the words just kind of go over the whole screen, and I'm more accustomed to the type where they've got like the text box at the bottom. But they're both fine. Ami's eyes sparkled like 1,000 diamonds. I didn't care if this was an act or not. I wanted to believe that underneath her long bangs, her left eye was also shining like the brightest star in the sky. Yay, I'm so excited! Whatever happens to us in the future, I just want us to be happy. Can I take a moment now to say, I played Needy Streamer Overload like a ton. I never even, I'll need to go back and rewatch the footage of me playing Needy Streamer Overload. I don't even, I don't recall that she hid her eye behind her hair. Was that a thing? I don't know. Maybe this is, what did they call that? A Mandela effect thing? I mean, it just doesn't seem wrong, but I can't say for certain it's right either. Okay, let's pick a place to have our dates. Oh, this is definitely good thumbnail material. Oh, the hearts and everything, man. Peach-on, I'll go wherever you go, unless it's jail. Then, no. Those are typically segregated by sex, just so you're aware, so don't go to jail, because then we'll be forcefully separated by the force of law. Okay. The arcade, Nakano Broadway, the hospital, urban exploration, beach, childhood home. The hospital. What? Under what circumstances? I mean, I do remember in Needy Stream Overload, we would go to the hospital to like get have her go to therapy. Which, yeah, I'm not necessarily here to knock therapy, but I will knock you if going to therapy is your date nights. Unless it's couples therapy. No, especially if it's couples therapy. That is not a date. That is like, I don't even know. It's an indictment. Is it called? It might just be called couples counseling. Not. I mean, I'm sure they've probably got both. Arcade could be fine. The danger with an arcade is, right, if there's a mismatch and like one person like really into the games and one person isn't, you know. But although you could maybe, if there's like a game you're really good at, especially like one of those like rhythm games, the like DDR type games, right? That could be impressive. Yeah, it's good to show off your skills to a potential date. Beach could be good depending on the time of year. Broadway could be expensive. Although I'm not even sure, because this takes place in Japan. This could be just a wide street. A Broadway. Let's go to Broadway. Nakano Broadway. From Nakano Station, if you left through the north exit and walked to the end of the Nakano Sun Mall, you would find yourself face to face with a mixed residential and commercial building. Hey, this is Nakano Broadway, known for being the mecca for nerdy stuff. Right, I believe that's in the game. I love this place. Nice choice, Peach-on. Akiba's practically baby shit compared to Nakano. It's time to get really freaky and geeky. This is the kind of place that's best enjoyed once a month. Okay, very specific timing there. We stepped inside, ready to be swept up by its holy corridors. Making it to Nakano Broadway could be, for people like us, a pilgrimage. Entering its hallowed halls made us devout believers of subcultures, regardless of whether or not the other visitors had that kind of mindset. By the way, if you didn't know, the ground floor, better known as the first floor, is used as a thoroughfare, but keep going north and you'll eventually end up at the Arayakushi side. There you'll find nary a nerdy shop. Those who were unaware of the location's status as a nerd hub would be none the wiser. Unlike Akihabara, where the nerdiness was spread throughout, it was only concentrated in one spot in Nakano. Wow, the first floor actually looks kind of normal, except for the giant mandrake. Mandrake. Yeah, that's Mandrake. Anyway, look, there's even some stairs that go down to a supermarket. Oh, nerds need to eat too. JK, there's a shop selling gacha and Pouchmon cards. Oh, it's Pokemon. Because Pokemon actually means pocket monster. So, pouch monster. 2. This place is nerdy as hell. OMG, a shop that's always having closing down sales to draw customers in. I thought they'd all died out in Akihabara, but looks like it's still got some of its kin here. Yeah, those are always funny, where it's like, we have our going out of business sale, and you look at that and you think, wait a minute. Weren't you having your going out of business sale like 2 years ago? What the heck happened? It was crowded here on the first floor, but of course it was, as any thoroughfare would be. As such, this was where all the normie shops were. You'd only start seeing the really nerdy stuff from the second floor up. Also, if you plan on visiting the second floor, make sure you take the stairs. The lift will take you straight to the third floor, so watch out. I can't even imagine how many people have missed the second floor because they didn't know about this. With her expert knowledge, or maybe coincidental luck, Ami bounced over to the stairs and headed up without even giving the normie shops as much as a glance. Ooh, new expression. This is thoughtfully shopping, Ami. Ooh, look at all these trading cards and old books. And there's Anime Girl plastic, vinyl figure, Doshins, and Eroge. They've really got everything there, huh? Or here, rather. Damn, this game shop got some really good stuff. There's stacks of really rare retro games in the window. Holy shit, that's expensive. Oh, duh, they would be. Everyone who works here probably has all the good shit memorized. Damn, I was kind of hoping I'd be able to score some bargains like those local secondhand shops that just slap prices on whatever. Sad. Ami probably already knew that she'd have no luck, but held out hope anyway, in case she could score something good for a stream. Yeah, being on YouTube does turn your life into always looking out for content, that's for sure. And I don't even have the worst of it because my niche is limited mostly just to gaming. I can't imagine people whose niches could be basically anything, and basically anything could potentially be commoditized into content. Oh, aches. She was probably talking this much to practice for what she'd say tonight. 2. Truth be told, there were rarely any places left that would sell rare things for cheap, even out in the boonies. The shops that lasted this long were able to do so because they knew the highest prices they could sell their stock at. Plus, the places that tried to beat their competition by listing their items below market value would get their goods snapped up so quickly, you'd hardly have time to blink. Not to say that bargain hunting was impossible these days, because it wasn't. But you'd have to be incredibly lucky. Oh, there's even cafes here. Maybe I should just retire and open a chill cafe here. Oops, don't tell anyone I said that, okay? Nakano Broadway was an old building with over 55 years of history. And that's not really all that old as buildings go. I mean, we've got buildings that have existed for literally thousands of years, but okay. Not here in America, really, but elsewhere. The call for its demolition could happen any day, so running a shop that needed a lot of time to build a customer base here, like a cafe, was a risky gamble. Thankfully, it was not enough to stop those who truly loved these holy grounds. The nerdiness is even stronger up here with all the Gunblam and Rider exclusive shops. You won't really see this even in Akiba. This place is basically nostalgia heaven for parents. I can see them buying toys here so they can live their glory days vicariously through their kids. But I guess the kids would be happy to be surrounded by so many books and toys. This is a weird place for sure, but maybe that's why a lot of families come here. This place has probably turned hundreds of kids into geeks who grow into robot and toku-loving adults. Toku? I know what a robot is. I have no idea what a toku is. Leave it in the comments if you know what a toku is. I am curious. Circle of life and all, huh? Being the central hub of Nakano wasn't the only reason this place saw a lot of families. There was also a huge park right next door, where the light of the Nakano gathered in the form of couples and families, creating a big yin and yang town. To any dark nerds who wish to avoid such light, visiting on a weekday would probably be your best bet. Ooh, look at this bookstore! They've got some really controversial stuff here. Opening a shop for fellow freaks would be pretty cool too. But she wants it, she wants it! Oh, her nails are pretty cute. I like the attention to detail of them, multiple different colors and stuff. Ami babbled on excitedly, pointing and gesturing in a frenzy. She'd gone completely off the deep end, sucked in by the whirlpool of nerd shit. The highest floor just hits different. It really feels like the good old days are perfectly preserved here. Indeed. Unlike the second floor, which you could easily reach after climbing one flight of stairs, the third floor, which the elevator went straight to, the fourth floor was a special place that you could only reach if you wanted to. You couldn't just get there from some coincidence or mistake. It was special in another way, too. It housed the chaotic concoction of vintage Showa-era toys, manga, and magazines. There was even an arcade well known for still running a bunch of niche retro cabinets. Even from the first glance, you could immediately sense that the shops here were paradise for a select portion of nerds. Look, they've got anime cells here! Ooh, I love CCs! This is so cool! Hey, you ever think about how cells aren't sold as merch, so the ones on the market were sold by some animator who needed some pocket money? I mean, it's cool that anime nerds will get a chance to own a piece of the series they love, but it sort of gives me mixed feelings, you know? I mean, that's capitalism for you. It's kind of like how if I saw someone selling something I autographed for them, I'd be pretty annoyed. But on the other hand, they could be selling it because they're really strapped for cash, and they wouldn't be selling it if they could help it. Also, it could be their family members selling it for them because they passed away. Although, I mean, it would probably even be more sad if they were selling it because they passed away than if they're just selling it out of spite or desperation. Although, I guess it depends. I mean, if they died at the ripe old age of 80, I mean, it's sad, but it's not, like, tragic. I hope I don't get canceled for that. If a collector passed, the family could either sell their things to a secondhand shop like Mandrake, or shut them away in a closet somewhere. An outsider wouldn't be able to tell if it would be more respectful to sell their things or keep them. However, what they would know is that either option would be better than bagging them up and throwing them away. Cells definitely were just sold for pocket money, though. Oh well, it's none of my business. I'm just gonna grab a Dejiko cell and go home. Once she left the shop with her purchase, she nodded and headed for the stairs. It seemed that she'd had her fill of nerdiness for the day. Now that she'd spent the day surrounded by nerd shit, her streams would probably reflect that too. Or maybe they won't. One thing I was sure of, though, is if she showed this side of her more, she'd attract even more annoying fans. Sure, maybe there was some merit to taming them into KAngel's fans, but was it really worth it when they had the emotional intelligence of a 5-year-old? I'm tired from walking around all day, so no stream tonight. I'm gonna stare at my cell all night and then sleep. I'm never gonna tell my nerds that I got one. Otherwise, they would all get on my ass about how to properly store and display it. They're just enthusiasts. Cut them some slack. Had so much fun yesterday. Okay, it's the next day. Cool. Where will you take me next? Oh, cool. It's not, we get to go to multiple places. Lovely. Surprise me.